Everybody with their phone go silent to if anybody to phone no, so there should be no distraction. My dear people of Osun State, the urgent necessity to restore lawful, peaceful, and effective governance at the grassroots in our state compelled me to speak to you at this time. For close to 1 year now, local government secretariats across Osun State have been under illegal occupation by the court-sacked APC chairmen and councillors, whose election was nullified by the Federal High Court, Osogbo, in November 2022, and affirmed by the Court of Appeal on the 10th February 2025, and again on the 13th June 2025. Their election was struck down because it was conducted in clear violation of the requirements of the law. I did not remove these APC chairmen and councillors from office. The court did. Since then, they have had no lawful mandate whatsoever. Yet, in brazen contempt of the law and in repudiation of democratic decency, they have refused to vacate the secretariats emboldened by the backing of the Nigerian police, as allegedly instructed by the former governor, Oyetola. By contrast, pursuant to subsisting court orders, the Osun State High Court directed the Osun State Independent Electoral Commission to conduct fresh local government elections. In compliance, after giving the required 360 days notice, lawful local government elections were held on the 22nd February 2025, and duly elected chairmen and councillors were sworn in on the 23rd February 2025. Their officials constitute these officials constitute the only lawful local government leadership in Osun State today. Illegal tenure allocation. It is settled matter of law that the tenure of elected officials in Nigeria cannot be extended for a single day after the expiration of their tenure. The Supreme Court, in the case of former Governor Ladoja of Osun State, ruled that the governor's tenure cannot be extended after finding in his favor that he was removed from office illegally for about 11 months and reinstated him in office. In several villains that have become public document in our court, including the Supreme Court, their lawyers and the Attorney General of the Federation admitted that these APC chairmen and councillors have no claim to office beyond October 22nd, 2025. To further confirm that their so-called tenure has expired, the APC chairmen and councillors approached the Federal High Court seeking for extension of their expired tenure. That case has been heard, but the very act of seeking extension amounts to a clear admission, both in law and in fact, that whatsoever so-called tenure they claimed they had expired. Assuming, without conceding, that the APC chairman and councillor had any tenure, the tenure expired on October 22, 2025. Despite this incontrovertible legal facts, they have continued to occupy the local government secretariat by brute force with police protection, allegedly and acting on the instruction of former Governor Oyetola. A few days ago, believing that these AP imposters will honor even their own admission that their tenure had expired, local government workers attempted to resume their duties. Although the police initially promised protection, many of these workers were instead beaten, harassed, and intimidated by a combination of armed police officers and ABC thugs. The use of armed police officers to occupy local government secretariat and intimidate civil servants is a grave abuse of power and an affront to democracy. My administration took serious exception to this development. However, we have deliberately chosen the path of peace. This is because the ultimate objective of these enemies of our people is to provoke violence, unleash mayhem, and then manufacture conditions for the imposition of a state of emergency on Osun State. It is saddening that in a democracy, these APC chairmen and councillors threaten in their various social media platforms that they will continue to occupy the local government secretariat for as long as they want because they claim to have the backing of former Governor Oyetola, and that any attempt to remove them from their illegal occupation of the local government secretariat will surely result in the imposition of the state of emergency on Osun State with the suspension of my administration. Time and again, we have frustrated their plans by responding with restraint, maturity, and respect for the rule of law. But sometimes I wonder if we are really under a democratic system of government where nobody is above the law. In Osun State, it seemed that the APC chairmen and councillors whose so-called tenure have expired are above the law. By the grace of former Governor Oyetola, I have formally written to the heads of relevant federal security agencies regarding action that threaten peace and order in Osun State. It is deeply unfortunate that former Governor Oyetola has chosen to weaponize federal institutions, particularly in the Nigerian police force. Also, he has equally applied same to the United Bank for Africa, PLC, UBA, to impose hardship and suffering on the good people of Osun State through alleged illegal instructions. As you are aware, that since February 2025, statutory allocation to Osun State local government have been withheld. I repeat, as you are all aware, that since February 2025, statutory allocation to Osun State local government have been withheld. As of the last FAC meeting, a total of 130 billion naira of our local government funds is being illegally withheld by the federal government. I repeat, as of the last FAC meeting, a total of 130 billion naira of our local government fund is being illegally withheld by the federal government. Attempts were made to divert those funds through account open with United Bank for Africa, UBA, by people not authorized by law to be signatories to local government funds. What I don't understand is the reason a reputable international bank like UBA has allowed itself to be used to break our laws and allow people who are not recognized by the law to be signatories to Osun State local government accounts after it has been advised on those who the law says can be signatories to these accounts. Can UBA willfully break the laws of New York State or the laws of the City of London where it operates? The answer is capital no. But as far as they are concerned, we are in Nigeria. We are where our laws can be trampled upon without any consequence, as long as they are breaking the law, allegedly to satisfy former Governor Oyetola. I want to inform the good people of Osun State that those senior managers in UBA who aided and abetted the opening of the Osun State local government account by people not allowed by law are already facing criminal prosecution before our courts. The local government statutory allocation is the primary source for the remuneration of primary school teachers, nurses, and other health workers at the 322 health care centers in Osun State, all local government workers and the traditional councils, as well as retirees in each local government in Osun State. Imagine the level of suffering these people that depend on the local government statutory allocation for the payment of their salaries would have gone through. If my government had not stepped in to borrow from the state government to pay the salaries of their workers in the last almost 12 months, with the exception of the traditional council salaries. To be able to come up with the funds from the state government, a lot of sacrifice had to be made. Allowances due to the senior civil servant and that of political appointees had to be put on hold at great discomfort to these men and women. In addition, in slowing down on some of the state ongoing projects, we have done this because governance is above all about humanity, responsibility, and compassion. But this is not sustainable. Why the Osun State local government funds are being withheld to the detriment of primary school teachers, nurses in our primary healthcare centers, local government, civil servants, retirees, and the good people of Osun State in general by UBA. Allegedly under the directive of former Governor Oyetola, the APC chairmen and councillors whose so-called tenure had lapsed are receiving payment in the millions from UBA. Again, allegedly under the directive of former Governor Oyetola. How this benefits illegality can be happening in a democracy is very unfortunate, to say the least. At this point, I respectfully appeal to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to intervene. I wish to assure the good people of Osun State that Mr. President is not involved in this illegality. Mr. President is among those who fought the military for our democracy. I believe Mr. President's name is being used without his knowledge by the former Governor Oyetola to get the Nigerian police and the UBA to obey his alleged illegal directives. I therefore urge Mr. President to protect the integrity of our democracy by rescuing Osun State local government from the vice grip of those who self-awarded tenure has lapsed. I respectfully request